Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. This is going to be a video response to lawnboyspost1975 10 video gaming first experiences. It's been a while since I've done any video response, and he threw out some really good questions, so I thought I'd give it a go. And so without further ado and taking too much time, dive right in with the first question. Right then, the first question. What was the first video game that I ever played? Well, that's going to have to be Space Invaders. I'll never forget seeing that game for the first time. Awesome. I remember coming home from school, stopping by my local fish and chip shop and seeing it there in all its glory with awesome artwork on the side of the cabinet. I spent loads of 10p's into that machine. Loved it. And that, of course, got me into gaming. So that was the first video game that I ever played. Okay, on to the second question. Your first video game that you bought with your own money, your hard, well-earned cash. And I'm going to go with this game, and I'm almost certainly sure it was this game. I still remember saving up my pocket money and paper round money, and at the weekend, along with a friend, we went down to Selfridges in London. I still remember their computer and games section was on the second floor. Yeah, so my first game that I bought with my money, River Raid on the MSX, and I think I paid $9.99 for it, or $10.99, along those lines, and certainly wasn't disappointed with the game when I got home. It's a fantastic game, and this is the actual copy. I still have it to this day, and I still play it to this day. And even though it's does show its age, it's all complete. So yeah, and great game, and personally, in my opinion, out of all the formats that I've played, I actually prefer the MSX version. So there you go. And also, Freddie came with me that day. Also bought his first game that same day, and even though he didn't own the machine, he still went ahead and bought a game anyway for the MSX. Hero, another fantastic game. And as I said, he didn't own the game and didn't own the machine, and still bought the game anyway. And it was a few months later before he eventually got an MSX computer from his parents as a present. I think it was a Christmas present, or I can't remember, not too sure. And it's actually his copy. I still got it to this very day, and I don't know how it's got into my collection, but I'm not complaining. And again, he paid $9.99 for it, $10.99. And again, like River Raid, I actually prefer the MSX version to the other versions. However, the Coleco version does come in a close second. So there you go. And actually, he did come over to my house and play the game, so he was really pleased with it. But would be even more happy if he'd played it in his own room, in his own little comfort zone. So there you go. Those are the first games that I bought and my friend bought. The third question, the first game I traded. And this one's going to be a quick one, really, because I rarely traded my games back in those days. But the one game that comes to the top of my head that I did trade was the game I played loads in the arcade. Loved this game, and as hard as it was, I loved this game. And when I heard about it coming to the Atari 2600, I knew I had to have this game. Without fail, without question, whatever, I wanted this game. And I begged and pleaded my parents for this game. So much so, in the end, they got me the game. And also the fact that my birthday was just around the corner, an early birthday present wasn't going to harm anyone, so it was all good in the end. And that game in question was Defender. And my God, this game was shit. It really was. I could not believe how bad this game was. It was dreadful. And what annoyed me the most, when you fired, you could see your laser, but your ship would disappear. I mean, I was gutted. I couldn't believe it. The game I enjoyed so much at the arcade, I could finally play at home on the Atari. Trashed. Words could not express how I felt that day. Completely gutted. Anyway, a cousin of mine who was also so into Defender, I mean, this guy was obsessive over this game. I mean, he literally spent all his pocket money on this game. And he was really good at it too, and certainly lasted a lot longer than I did on his 3 lives. Also knew about the game for the Atari, and wanted it, but his parents wouldn't buy him it because I reckon he had too many games already. And anyway, one weekend he came over. He brought a whole pile of games in a pouch case sort of thing. There's about 7, 8 games in there. And the moment he saw my Defender, without saying anything else, dude, do you want to trade? Do you want to trade? So I looked at him and thought, yeah, sure, why not? And without telling him how bad the game really was, told him, so what you got for trade then? He opened up the case, and in there was Pitfall. So I told him, I'll take that one, thank you very much, if you don't mind. Quick trade. He left. Trade was done, and I guess I got the better part of the trade. And he, to this day, he still has this game. He still has Defender, and has kept it as a reminder as the dirty trick I played on him, because he also found out how shit the game was. And there you are. That was my trade, my first trade. And the fourth question is the first system that I owned. Well, family owned, and that of course is the Atari 2600. We had the 6-switch Woody, and the games we got with it were Combat and Space Invaders, and 2 great games back in the day. Certainly a lot of fun, and brought the family together at the weekends. And my dad didn't actually buy the system. I think it was borrowed to him by a work colleague one weekend, and it just stayed with us ever since. So. And I never did ask how he got it or where it came from. And who was I to complain? I was just too busy playing Atari. So there you go. That was the first system that I had. Question number 5. My first peripheral. My parents bought me the MSX computer for Christmas, as well as getting me the CBS ColecoVision. Guess I was a good boy at school that year. I no longer needed the Atari 2600 because now I also got the adapter that could play Atari games. However, I needed a tape recorder for the MSX. So he sold off the Atari, and with the money, he bought me a tape recorder. And this is that very tape recorder. Still have it after all these years. And it still works, minus the section coming off. Oh no, it still works. Also, he bought me 2 games. Hunchback for the MSX, obviously. And my all-time favourite, Manic Miner. I have to mention also that these were my very first MSX computer games. And there was still money left over to get me the Cheetah 125 Plus joystick. 2 fighter buttons there, 2 fire buttons there, got the auto fire there. This is that very one, still have it after all this time. So those were my first peripherals and a couple of games. Question number 6, the first computer magazine that I ever read. That's a no-brainer to anyone that's living in the UK, that is, and of course that's C plus VG, as it was known in school, computer and video games. Great magazine, a great source of information before the internet, and this is one of the later issues. In fact, it's a later issue because it's already mentioning the Xbox. I would read this religiously without fail every month. Fantastic magazine, and sadly over the years they get lost, binned, and God knows what, and this is the only copy I have left. I guess the reason why I've kept it this long because it's got this groovy Spider-Man on the cover, just like the great use of colour. So there you go. Fortunately though, I got a couple DVDs with all the magazines scanned from issues 1 to 126. It also includes the pamphlets, posters, and many extras. So whenever I feel like reminiscing old times in C plus VG, just grab myself a cup of tea and have a look through this. So that was my first computer magazine. Question number 7, the first system that I bought with my own money, and that is the Sega Master System. And fantastic machine, love this machine to bits, and much prefer this model to the Model 2. Not really keen on the Model 2, just don't like the design to it, and also the fact that they've taken the card slot from it, which is a bit sad. And I also got 3 games when I bought the system, and the 3 games had to be Space Harrier. Love this game, probably my favourite game of all time on the Master System. Zillion. I think the reason why I got this was because I was a big Robotech fan, and it just sort of reminded me of it, so I had to have it. It's not a bad game, however. And of course, Wonder Boy. Loved Wonder Boy in the arcades. Remember playing it at a friend's house on the Commodore. I also had Alex Kidd in Miracle World, but sadly I lost that game, and it's a lot harder to get that game. And when you do find it, it's very expensive. So, yeah, Sega Master System, my first system that I got with my own money. Fantastic machine. Question number 8, the first handheld system. Just going to change this slightly. The first handheld game that I ever played was a game by Mattel Electronics called Battlestar Galactica. I'll just show you a picture of it. Yeah, that was Battlestar Galactica. Fantastic game. A friend of mine did own one back then and borrowed it to me for a few days and just loved it. It was fantastic. Many fun hours playing it. Very simple game. All it was is just a set of LED lights. You had your Battlestar at the bottom, silence at the top, shoot them down, and that's all there was to it. Just rake up the points. But I just loved it. I would love to own one, but when they do crop up on eBay, they're very expensive. But hey, you never know. Another honourable mention. A month later, I also played this. Invaders from Space by Grandstand, which is basically a mini Space Invaders LED game. Again, another fantastic little game. Sadly, this one isn't working, so I'm hoping at some point I'll get one that does. And the second handheld game that I got from my parents as a Christmas present, and one that lawn boys would be very familiar with, is of course Grandstand's Astro Wars. Fantastic game. Love this to bits. Actually got some batteries inside. Yeah, I'll turn it on. Just love that sound. Brings back so many memories. Call it the mini Galaga. So I would play Galaga at the family amusements at the seaside. Fantastic game. I even still play it today. Sadly, this isn't the actual handheld that I owned back in the day. This is one that I got years later. The one that I did own, my younger brother, who was 4 or 5 at the time, decided to overdose it with milk, thinking it would grow up to be one of the massive Galaga arcade machines. So you can imagine the horror on my face when I got home to see this covered in milk. But there you go. So the actual handheld system that I got and also bought with my own money would have to be the Game Boy. And I got this also with a couple games. Nemesis. Fantastic little version of Nemesis. And Super Mario Land. My favourite Mario game on the Game Boy. And it also obviously came with Tetris. So this was the first handheld system that I got, and also with my own money. So there you go. Question number 9, first CD system. My first CD based system would have to be my Japanese Mega CD that I got back in the day when they were first imported from Japan. And the games I also got with it that day were Ernest Evans. These are actually the original games I've had since then. Final Fight, Soul Feast, and Thunderstorm. And I still have the original Mega CD somewhere up there. But dedicated CD system would have to be my PlayStation 1. Now, this is the actual one that I got on launch back in September 95. Bought it at Toys R Us. And it's still working, never had any problems with it. And I got it with Ridge Racer, Wipeout and Toshinden. So, my first CD system. The final question, the first system that I ever sold. And for what reason? Never actually sold any of my consoles back in the day. However, I did give 2 of them away. The first was my ColecoVision, which I gave to another cousin of mine. And to this day regretted it ever since, due to find out later on that within a year or so of giving him the console, it ended up on the skip. And I was really gutted about it. He obviously didn't take care of it. And majority of the games, the cartridges themselves was cracked. The labels were missing. So yeah, I was really gutted about this, and I built up a nice little collection. Had games the like of Donkey Kong Jr., Ladybug, Zaxxon, Smurfs, one of my favourites, Turbo. I even had the Atari adapter, so you could play Atari games, and also the driving wheel, obviously to play Turbo. Yeah, so I was really gutted about that, and I'd love to have a Coleco back in my collection, and obviously when they do come up on eBay they are pricey, so I guess for the time being I'll have to stick to emulation. And the second system was the first system that I ever bought with my own money, and of course that was the Sega Master System. I gave that to a friend of mine, and to this day he still has it and has obviously built up a fair collection of games for it, and he's obviously taken good care of it and treasures it well. So yeah, and I guess the first system that I ever sold really was just before Christmas, and that was my Xbox 360. I had freedom in the house, so I thought there was no need to have freedom, so I sold one of them for just under €100 to a colleague at work. It was my modded Xbox, so I wasn't too fussed because I've sort of gone out of the modding and backup thing, rather having the original games instead. So yeah, I guess that was the first system that I ever really sold, and that was my Xbox 360. Right, and that was it. That was my video response to lawnboyspost1975's 10 video game first experiences, and great videos always, mate. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to go over to his channel. I'll put a link below, and if you're going to do one also, don't forget to put it as a response to the original video. So until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now and take care.